You are listening to the only radio station with no borders, Radio All for Peace. Radio All for Peace.
Hi everyone, hello for the last time. I don't know about you, but I'm scared. I've forgotten the word for when you're just not sure how you feel. 'Cause that's what I am. Super unsure how I feel about leaving. 'Cause this is my last show, and because things are tense, and nobody wants to come in to talk to me off of the phone, I'm gonna be alone for another show. But it's nice. We get to wrap up the way we began. I was just looking back on my first show here, and wow, it's definitely very different. I would never have felt that so many things would have happened and changed in the 3 months that I was here. It really doesn't feel like I've done anything while I was here. But reading back on this, I must have, because this whole thing seems crazy, except for the self-indulgent rambling. I mean, that's still something I'm doing a lot of, clearly, because yet again, I'm doing my own hour-long radio show. And if anything is more self-indulgent and rambly than that, I don't know what it is. So, looking back on my time here, I spent one of each of my months in a different neighborhood, I guess you could say. So my first month was spent in a neighborhood called Nakhlaot, second month in Musrara, and my third one has been in the Old City. And, yeah, maybe I did that the wrong way around, because there was literally no worse time to be in the Old City than when I was there. Am there, still. But, you know, I think I learnt more, and everything happens for a reason, and all those wonderful things that you hear in this city, you know, God wishes it so, I guess. Something like that. Do you know what happened this week? I met a lot of crazies. I'll get back onto my actual show, but self-indulgent rambling, guys. I met a lot of crazy people. Like the Jerusalem syndrome that I'm sure we've all heard about. If you haven't, people come to Jerusalem and they think, oh, now I'm the Messiah because I'm here. Which, you know, I'm sure we've talked about it. It gets people out of their depression, you know. They're depressed, they're like, oh, why? Why does my life suck? Why am I so unhappy? And they're like, you know what? I'm clearly taking everybody's pain on my shoulders. So I must be the Messiah because my life sucks. And then, all of a sudden, they're happy. Because they are the Messiah. There is a reason for their suffering. So, like, I get it. That's cool. Like, you do you, Messiah people. Jerusalem syndrome people. But it gets a little freaky when you're just walking down the street. I was walking home one day, and this man starts following me and asked if he could pray for me. And I thought, well, you know, why not? As long as I don't have to do anything weird. Yeah. Like, that'd be cool. And they're like, great. And I'm like, okay, that's the end of it, right? You pray for someone, they're like, you know, while they're praying that night, they're just like, hey, and God, like, think of Ashleigh, she's pretty cool. And that would have been nice. But no, so this involved a big discussion about how I had to take God and then also Jesus and accept them into my life as something about saving me and all those things. You know, yeah, makes sense. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was listening and it was interesting. And he gave me a little pamphlet and I was like, oh no, where is this going? But you know, and then he puts a hand on my shoulder and holds my other hand and he's like, now I'm going to pray for you. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what does this mean? Why are you touching me? And he just starts asking God, I suppose. No, telling. It was definitely telling. He was kind of yelling at it. It's kind of shaking. He's going, oh, like, take Satan out of this girl's body and fill her with the light of God. And this went on for quite a while, long enough that I missed my tram. And later he tells me, you know, like, he has this power and he was born with it and he wishes he had a different kind of power, but this is what he has and so he's gonna do this because that's his life. Not sure whether I felt more holy afterwards or just kind of weird, but that happened. 2 days later, I'm walking home from a friend's house, actually exactly the same street, and the same thing happens, but this time it's a Jewish guy, not a Christian guy. And I was like, what? You people, why do these people keep finding me at the same place? I don't know. Maybe everyone else knows that there's this, like, one point on Jaffa Street that you shouldn't walk, but to me it's a main street. And, maybe I just attract that kind of thing. In any case, now I've been blessed by, like, 2 out of the 3 religions here, so I'm just waiting to walk through the old city, get a nice Islamic blessing, and then all the forms of God that people love here will have blessed me, and I'll officially be super holy, which I think is what you should get when you leave Jerusalem. Anyway, wow, everything seems to happen in 3s. 3 months, 3 houses. Not 3 blessings yet. Damn. Well, I better wait for the 3rd one, and then it'll all be fine. Please, let me know if you know anyone that can bless me from a 3rd major religion. Thank you very much. So anyway, my first house was in Nachlaot, and it was lovely, and there was a supermarket down the road. almost a legit supermarket. Legit enough. I could walk there. It was a very quiet neighborhood. I made friends just on the street who would just invite me to their house at any time. They'd just be like, "Hi, you're a stranger. Hang out with me." I'm like, "Yes, please. I have no friends. This is great." I met a lot of people. I brought some people that I met in Nachlaot to the show, as you know. Some lovely people who seemed to tell me that Nachlaot was diverse. Oh, I was using inverted commas, but I guess you can't see that. Diverse inverted commas. With people from everywhere, but really it's just Jewish people from everywhere. So that was confusing to me. And not even really from everywhere. A lot of them, anyway. Yeah, very, typical. I suppose you could say religiously. They could be more religious or mostly secular, but still very similar. Anyway, it was lovely. Everything was beautiful. Then I moved to Musrara. And the feeling in Musrara was nice. I had a very lovely house, very friendly housemates, met some more secular people, which was fun because I felt a little less like heathen and a little more like a regular person for a month. It was right next to the city, so I experienced this cool, like, urban life almost, where I could go to a bar and have a drink and just chat to people and make friends there, which was very new because before that I thought, oh, people in Jerusalem clearly don't go out, they just, chill with their friends in their homes. Maybe the bars here are just empty, but I was wrong. I was clearly just here at the wrong time or meeting people that didn't go out very much. So I experienced this new way of life, this thing that I had definitely been missing, this kind of, I would say it was more European, just going out to bars and buying my food instead of cooking it all the time. Leaving the house on a Saturday, that was fun. Leaving the house not to just go to someone else's house, but, finding things that were open. I found a non-kosher 24-hour diner, and that was pretty much the dream. Didn't order bacon. I went there specifically to order bacon, but then there was French toast and I just chickened out. I didn't put bacon on it. Oh well, I do live in a, city that has a lot of bacon, so I'm sure I'll be fine when I get back. Sorry for that pause, just needed a drink. So Musrara gave me this laid back, maybe less laid back or more, depending on what you're thinking about, less religious, more casual, friendly atmosphere. I saw quite a bit of the West Bank, which was great, as I've said before, because it was just crazy and cool. I went to Oktoberfest in Tibet, which is in the West Bank, and had a discussion with a friend, almost an argument, I don't know what the word is. Or I said, yeah, well, obviously they have a brewery in Tibet because it's a Christian city. And my friend goes, no, Tibet's it's all Muslim. There's no Christians there. And I was like, well, they have a brewery and they have churches. So I'm going to assume there's probably quite a few Christians. And I open up the Wikipedia pages side by side of the English language Wikipedia page and the Hebrew Wikipedia page. And on the English one, it has some statistics of, the religious makeup of the town. So 80-something% Christian, and then, I don't know, 10% Muslim, something like that. I don't really remember. It was random numbers. And the Hebrew one just says 100% Muslim. I thought, well, one of these must be wrong. And it's probably the one that says that they don't have a brewery, because I've seen it. Not saying anything, just who's editing Hebrew Wikipedia, because they should get onto that, because somewhere something went wrong. Maybe they just have a template for all the West Bank towns. They're just oh, well, I'll just assume it's just like every other one. Who knows? Maybe I should check what it says in the Arabic Wikipedia. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll report back to you. Not really, because this is my last show. I should not make promises I can't keep. Speaking of, I promised to post links to the one that I missed last week before last. They'll be up, I promise you all. I'll just keep them coming, and then you'll think that I'm still broadcasting, when really I'm just posting old ones, because you obviously love to hear my voice and my strange questions. The third place that I lived, I'm going on such self-indulgent rambles, tangents everywhere. I'm very sorry. The third place that I lived, the old city, I moved in at pretty much exactly the wrong time. I've talked about this. Soldiers everywhere. Tensions were very high. Some nights I just couldn't leave my house because I tried to, and soldiers were like, "What are you doing on the street? It's not dangerous. Go home." And I was like, I am home. This is my home. And they were like, "Get back inside." It was really scary. I never answer the door. I was told in Musrara to never answer the door if I didn't know who it was. So I assume the old city's worse because there's a lot of gunshot sounds, and that's frightening. Lately people have been knocking a lot, and I just think, oh, it's probably for my housemate and he's not home, so I'll just pretend I can't hear anything and go to sleep. Which is probably the wrong way to go about it. If you're the one knocking on my door, send me a Facebook message. Let me know you're safe, and I'll open it next time. The whole thing's been quite strange. I'm living in the Islamic Quarter. I really stand out. I am even more white than I thought I was. I didn't know whether that was possible, but it is. Yeah, I try really hard to dress conservatively, and it's never enough. It's never enough. The days I look like a tourist are probably the best, but I'm very excited to get back to Perth where, I can walk down a street and no one's gonna yell at me. No one's gonna be like, "Hey, miss, I don't know, something in broken English about me sexually harassing you." That's gonna be a great day when I walk down the street and people they don't even need to smile at me. I'd love for, one day where someone doesn't chase me, like, "Hey, you didn't say good morning to me today. I've never met you, but you should have said good morning." Because being female is difficult and kind of sucks. Anyway, that was probably not the most accurate representation of my month in the old city, but I'm sure I will expand on that after I've played a song. That feels like a nice intro to what I've done. Let's play a song and then I'll get back into it a little deeper.
No regrets, although our love affair has gone astray. No regrets, I know I'll always care, though you're aware. Somehow our happy romance ended suddenly. Still in my heart you'll be forever mine. No regrets, because somebody new looks good to you. No regrets, sweetheart, no matter what you say or do. I know our love will linger when the other love forgets. So I say goodbye with no regrets. Lord, no matter what you say or do, I know our love will linger when the other love forgets. So I say goodbye with no regret.
All right. That song was No Regrets. And if you're not on YouTube, where that song won't be played, sorry. But if you're listening to this via podcast or actual, live listening on the internet or the radio, you will have heard it. That was a ramble. I played that song because that's what I'm feeling right now. No regrets. Despite, whatever I may have said or felt, whatever's happening, I promise you I have no regrets. I've learned so much. I've changed more than I've ever changed before. I've lived in other countries for whatever. I've left my home country and lived in a different one for more than a year before, and this has still changed me more. This has still been more of an interesting experience because I suppose I went into this with this fundamentally Western European kind of view, and I guess I assumed it'd be the same here because it kind of seems the same from the outside. I mean, this country has its own Eurovision entries. Why would it not be European? But no, clearly things are done very differently here. It still is in the Middle East, and somehow I didn't quite know what that meant. The little things, like it's just so impossible to get a good coffee here. No one's opened up an Australian coffee place, store, shop. I don't even remember the word for a cafe anymore. That's how long I've been away from Australia. There aren't great cafes here. You can't get a flat white. Why did that surprise me? I don't know, but it did. And shopping. Not like clothes shopping, because it's not like I do that much anyway. I have a suitcase that was mostly full when I came here because I panicked and threw everything in. So I can't really buy much more. But grocery shopping. It's just so different. I thought it was different when I went to Germany and tried to shop there. I was like, whoa, what is this layout? This is so confusing. But no, here you walk into a shop and it's like, oh, there's like 3 aisles. And how do I buy actual meat? Because none of it looks good. Or easy to understand what it is. There's no just solid... Maybe it's because I'm used to pork? No, I don't think so. It was just strange. Anyway, back to my discussion. I hope you all enjoy these rambles, because I do. And I think, feels a little more realistic. I guess I should talk about what everyone's thinking about. And wishing that I would address on this show, clearly, is what people here like to call the situation, inverted commas. I'm not really going to, but I am going to say, in this past month, I've seen a lot of things escalate. Oh my gosh, my English is dying. I have seen things escalate. It's frightening, yes. People are saying, oh, you're so brave. And I'm like, no, some nights I don't leave my house. Wine has become my best friend, because when you're trying to leave the city and they're like, oh, sorry, someone was just killed here a minute ago, so you can't really leave via your usual gate. Yeah, that's frightening. Like when you're sleeping and then you just hear some gunshots and you're like, well, that'll be on the news tomorrow. That is really scary. But, like I said, wine really helps. I fall asleep very quickly. I feel very, very sorry. I live in the Islamic quarter and I think, wow, if someone's like super religious here, they can't have this wine. How do they sleep? I don't know. But I know I would be a very, very different person if I'd grown up. Not necessarily here, but in the old city, very different. In West Jerusalem, it feels like you're very separated. When I was living in West Jerusalem, I was like, oh no, everyone's peaceful. There's no conflict. What are you talking about? And then you cross a street, you walk through a gate, and all of a sudden everything's very different. The atmosphere is different. There are soldiers and police people, and undercover, inverted commas undercover, because when you're, a Jew in cargo pants in the old city, you're not really undercover, but I suppose more so than the scary-looking soldiers. They're everywhere. It's frightening. It's a bit of a shock. But it's something that people have to live with every day. And if that was what I lived with, I wouldn't be optimistic. I think I can come here all optimistic, like, there can be peace, everyone can work together, because I'm so used to a place where the idea of anything but peace is crazy. The idea of people taking out guns and soldiers walking the streets in Perth, I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine my small, sunny town having people yelling at other people just for, well, I suppose that does happen. It's not an unracist city. But I digress. As per usual, I digress, I suppose. What was I saying? Yes. Conflict. I received more this month than any other month. So many messages from friends and family back home. Just checking in to see if you're alive, Ashleigh. And it's very sweet. I love it. And I read them and I always think, oh, of course I'm alive. Look at me, I'm a tourist. No one's gonna try to attack me, really. And I think about how problematic that kind of is. Problematic is a bad word to use, but you know what I mean. It feels like the wrong attitude to have, to think, oh, well, I'm fine because I'm a tourist and that's a good thing. When I say or think things like that, I think to myself, well, what about the people who aren't okay? Is it fair to them that you're saying all these things like, oh, well, I'm safe, when you're living right next door to people who actually have things to fear? It is complicated, and I'm not sure I should feel guilty. But I do a little bit, I really do. I'm not sure if someone else has experienced this, I guess this is like that white privilege guilt that people always talk about. Not that I don't have that one as well, but even a little more now that I'm here, I feel, wow, I am just living this life. I've just come into these people's place and I've not thought about the fact that everyone here is specifically fighting for land that they think is theirs. And I've just showed up and I'm just living in their place and I'm just like, hey, I'm totally safe. I'm not part of this. I'm just gonna live in your places real casually. When I was staying in places, in the Balkans right after that war, it was nice. Everyone was really happy to have tourists. And I guess I only thought about things that way. I thought, oh, everyone wants tourists. They bring money and everyone seems to want to help you. And here, maybe it's half-half, I suppose it depends who you're talking to. I find a few Israelis, whatever, people who've moved here and made Aliyah or whatever are telling me, oh, go home, you're not a Jew. And just because they tell me to go home, I kind of want to stay, just because I am stubborn. And who are you to tell me that? Because I am a tourist. And whatever. I am as native as they are, I suppose. Maybe. But, people in the old city seem to be nicer about my existence. Whether Jewish or Arab, either way, they're a lot nicer about me being there. They're more welcoming, despite the fact that it is a much more frightening place to live. I suppose because it's a more frightening place to live, it's comforting that people are so friendly. People owning shops, they're like, have tea with me. And I'm like, look, I don't want to buy your things. And they're like, no, I just want to chat because I'm here all day, which I totally understand because I have worked at markets before. And they're very sweet, and I really wish that they could come in and be interviewed by me, but they can't because they have jobs. And why do people have jobs? Because they should just be around for me to talk to because I am the center of the universe, right? Yes. Yes. Tell them all that. No. I don't know whether you're allowed to say that in Jerusalem, even as a joke. Yeah, since I've lived in the old city, I've made some more fun, secular friends, which is cool. I went to Tel Aviv and I went to a non-kosher McDonald's. Can we all have a moment to just think about how that is wonderful? I don't even like McDonald's. I hate McDonald's. I haven't eaten there in a very long time, but when it was a non-kosher, everything was so exciting. I put cheese on my burger. Whew. Everybody just... I never thought that would excite me. I don't even like cheese on my burgers. The cheese they use at McDonald's, I don't know if you're allowed to call it cheese. I'm not entirely sure that there is actually any dairy in it, but the idea that I was rebelling, doing things you're not allowed to do in Jerusalem, that very much excited me. And also possibly made me a little more worried about what an Israel under Jewish law means. Does it mean that all the food is kosher? Because if it does, that is cruel and horrible, because I really like meat and cheese together. If we've learned anything from things that I've said, it's that I like meat and cheese and also making jokes about white people. And those two things are things that I'm not really allowed to do here. I have also realized that there is casual racism in Jerusalem. Possibly in, the state at large, but I've only spent time in Jerusalem, really. So I take back what I said in my first week. The racism is probably casual, but to me, because it's a new kind of racism, it feels less casual. The whole thing, I never know whether I'm allowed to laugh, whether I want to laugh at racist jokes here. I mean, I never really do. Ever, but sometimes people make jokes and I'm like, was that a racist comment, or was it like a cultural thing that I don't get? I'm never sure. I just kind of look at people with a scared face and they realize, yeah, don't make these jokes because she doesn't get it. People also make quite a few Holocaust jokes here. We've discussed it before. I remember living in Germany. That is taboo. You can't even kind of mention that. That is not a thing that anyone wants to talk about. And here, people make these jokes all the time. Which, since they're the ones suffering and they're the ones that would be offended, yeah, I can laugh at those, right? Can I? Maybe. Look, who knows? Anyway, it has been another 15 minutes. I suppose I should keep some structure to this and regularly put songs on, so we'll come back after this next wonderful musical interlude.
More than anyone would
Well, welcome back, everybody, from that wonderful musical interlude. I chose the song Mace Spray, despite the fact that I have actually played that on the radio before. Whoops. Have I? I think so. But I played that song because a lot of people have been saying, hey, you know what, you should get Mace Spray. Here's a place to buy it. And I've read a lot of comments on, Jerusalem Al-Quds Facebook pages that are like, hey, this is where you buy the best one. This is the percentage or whatever that you need of pepper to water. I don't pretend to know how that stuff works because you know what? I didn't buy it because even if I had it, how would I use that? I may as well just run away. That'd be about as helpful. And who's going to attack me? I don't think anyone really is going to physically threaten my life. So, yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, but interesting to hear that everyone thinks I should. On that note, I remember when I came here, I was like, you know what, guns really frighten me, and I can't handle the fact that everyone is wearing them. But I'm sure by the time I leave, I'll be used to it. I'm not. I think I can get used to this, so-called looming threat of, this danger, blah, 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 but guns still feel like the physical manifestation of that, and that is probably why they frighten me so much, because I think, oh, people, that's cool, people can change their minds, but guns can't change their minds. They are inanimate objects. When a gun is about to kill you, it's gonna happen. And the idea that one place needs so many huge guns and so many people in big uniforms and boots wearing these huge guns, that still frightens me. And regular people carrying guns as though that's normal and the only way to protect their safety, frightening. Very, very frightening. I think it's the idea more than the actual thing that scares me. Guns themselves, I suppose, they're still scary. But not as scary as everything you think about when you see those guns and everything that they say about a society when everyone has these guns. I have questions. Questions not from myself this time, which is, very exciting. Not the usual questions, because my listeners who are listening to me because I'm cool and popular and have people listening, and it's totally not just my parents, have asked me questions. Questions that I don't really know how to answer if I'm completely honest. Like, why did you choose Jerusalem? Honestly, I don't 100% know. I wanted to witness somewhere new. I did want to learn and grow, and Jerusalem felt like it would... I wanted somewhere that would be challenging to my ideas. As one of little faith, Jerusalem, I love learning about religion. I think it's so interesting, and that kind of like religious history and obviously international relations and all of those are super interesting to me, and I have no way to really study them in Perth, really, so much as I've finished my degree, so where do I learn about those things? So going to Jerusalem definitely was interesting there. It's also particularly Jerusalem, even particularly the Old City, is this very interesting divide between, can I say two states? Am I allowed to, I'm not sure whether that's a thing I'm allowed to say, politically. I don't know what the right word is, but we get what I mean. It is this divide culturally, and it has this line through the middle, which it's difficult to fathom. It's not just the fun line that you see, I suppose, between states, as in within one country, when you just kind of jump over the tub and you're like, hee, like, I'm in 3 states at once, which is a lot of fun. No, it's more interesting than that. It's checkpoints, and it's things that I'd never been able to fathom before, and probably still can't actually put into words. this idea of what seems to be almost arbitrary separation of people and of the name of a place was just something that just confounded me, particularly having a degree in international relations and studying this kind of area a lot, because, you know, where else do you study other than places that are in conflict? That seemed very interesting to me. If we're honest, it's also a little bit of a comfort zone. I'm moving very slowly from where I find life is comfortable. Look, I thought it was a bit of a comfort zone. I suppose now I'm discovering it's not, but it still has toilets and showers, and even if I have to turn the boiler on and wait 20 minutes before I can shower, which, trust me, means I have not showered as much as I should because I'm always late. Oh, I just said that on a radio broadcast. Well done, Ashleigh. That's embarrassing. Yeah, it's a little more European than a lot of other places I could have gone to, so it's a very slow move away from home. I'm only 21, don't judge me, I'm not up for these big risks. Although clearly I, you know, kind of am. It depends what you count as a big risk. That question that I'm answering came with a second part. Why not next time? Because it came after a discussion of, I don't know whether I want to come back. But you know what? I'm not sure. I really love this place. At the same time, going somewhere like Tel Aviv or even like Bethlehem felt a little nicer. Going to a place where, I suppose I didn't have to think as much about how I was perceived walking down the street and how people would take me. I could just be like, hi, I'm a tourist, what's up? In Tel Aviv, I went out clubbing and I wore heels. Whew! I felt like I was an average height person, and that was fun. And I don't know whether it was necessarily the fact that I felt average height or the fact that I could wear whatever I felt like because no one was going to judge me. That was very nice. I think once I've spent some time outside of this city, I will grow to miss it because there are wonderful things about it, and I've made some wonderful friends here, and it's so different from a home, but right now I do feel frightened. I remember when everything, not frightened, uncomfortable at times, I suppose. I do remember when the situation started getting serious with this talk of a third intifada and everyone saying, well, why don't you leave early? Why don't you change your flights and leave early? And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I don't really want to be here right now. It is frightening. And while I am growing and learning and changing, and that's very important because to me, I feel like I always need a challenge. I always need to be a little bit outside of my comfort zone, or I don't feel right. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. It just doesn't feel like real life. Well, I do like that. I don't really enjoy how, you know, this kind of serious thing, but I thought, you know what, so many people have to live in this place. There are so many people going through this every day, and who am I to just quit when it gets difficult, to just be like, oh, well, lol, you guys stay here, fearing for your lives or whatever, and worrying while I just, you know, leg it out of the country. That's not, it felt almost disrespectful. Then again, it's not my war that is being fought, but I suppose I care enough that it doesn't have to be particularly my war, but I can try a little bit to be like, hey, maybe peace would be better. And I think understanding this will help me understand motives and things in future as well. It has definitely made me reconsider a lot of ideas I had about war and about pacifism and things like that. I'm definitely less optimistic than I was when I came here, which is probably very sad to say. I'm still not a cynicist because we've all... A cynic? Pff, how embarrassing. Terrible English, I'm sorry. But we've all met me. I'm a very optimistic person. I will forever believe in, I suppose, some form of pacifism. Well, let's not say forever. It's a big word, but I'm still an optimist. Just in my heart. But a little less of one after having stayed here. So yeah, why not next time? For that reason, and also because it perhaps feels disrespectful coming in here. I've met a lot of tourists that were just like, ha ha ha, isn't this fun? And not even thinking about what was happening here. And I thought, wow, how rude. You're just coming in here. All these people have like serious shit going on and you're just gonna, oh, I swore, I'm sorry. All these people have serious things going on and you're just gonna chill and go to the wine and cheese restaurant. And I mean, I did that. A hypocrite, but it's what I'm thinking about myself as well as others. You know, you're just gonna hang out at these fancy restaurants and just pretend like, you know, like it's totally fine for you to come here and just step all over them. Maybe it is because you're helping the economy. Is that good? I don't know. Is that just what people say because they want to justify their tourism? Maybe. I'm not sure. Wow, more questions coming in. See, guys? So many listeners. How was the weather? Wow. Thanks for that question. Really exciting one. Actually, to be honest, it just started raining, which is really crazy to me. I think I hadn't experienced rain here for a long time, and it's cold. And why is it cold? We're near a desert. One jacket was not enough today, but I thought it would be. That's how the weather is. Getting colder, but still kind of warm. It's like, it'll rain and it'll be cold, and then by the afternoon I'll just be sweating, but then I can't take my jumper off because sweat patches, but first world problems. Next, what is my big takeaway from this? Wow, so many questions. Ugh, I should put on another song. You know what? It's about the time that I should have put on another song, so let's go to a song and then I'll answer that big question that has been asked when I come back. Yeah.
You wrap me up, you spread me all
all for peace.
All right, what a wonderful interlude. I have to admit, I only put that song on because I rediscovered it and it's fun, and in these tense times, I have been playing it on repeat. I tossed up between, playing that or one of my favorite cool, low-fang songs that are beautiful and eerie and atmospheric, and then I thought, no, you know what? We all want some fun here. We all just want a good jam. If you're listening in the car, which you're probably not because this is online, but I can pretend that I am a legit radio star and everyone's listening in the car and they're grooving along to my sweet little tunes. Anyway, answering this final question, what my big takeaway from this is, and honestly, the biggest thing that I think all the time when people ask me about Jerusalem and about living here and about what I've learned, what I've seen and what I've done and how it is and how's this and how's that, XYZ, is that some things I just do not have a context to discuss. I don't have the words in my vocabulary. I don't have the ideas in my mind because I've never tried to discuss something like this before. I've never had anyone that I could discuss these kinds of things with, and people I've met here, it's difficult. If they're locals, they have a very, very different perspective, and everyone has a different perspective, and I haven't met anyone from my background doing this. Perhaps until this morning, I actually talked to an Australian girl on the phone who's only been here a few weeks, and she was living in Hebron, and she was like freaking out almost, a little stressed, by a shooting that happened near where she was living. And I remembered the first time that happened to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, girl, all I have for you is drink wine. And she had exactly the same reaction that I did when I first saw these things. And from where I am now, I'm about to leave, and I've been here for long enough that I went, oh yeah, all right, I know that feeling. Yeah, cool, whatever. And then I thought, how am I being casual about this? Not even my friends that have grown up here are casual about this if they weren't living in the old city, It's not until it's really, really right there that you freak out, and then I think I just freaked out so many times that I just had to stop thinking about it. I just had to say, you know what? Fine, this thing happens. But yeah, for the first time I could talk to someone who came from the same kind of place. She actually came from my hometown, I think. And yeah, unfortunately she couldn't be on the show. Which is totally cool, because then I realized that I should probably not interview someone for my last show ever. I should probably give you guys an overview of all the things that I've learned. But I said last time I had big takeaways from all the guests I had, from everyone's different perspective and from everyone's different beliefs and ideas, and there are so many people that I really wish I could have had on this show. It's really difficult when you're in the middle of the day and everyone has a job. It's very difficult when you're in a country like this, in a place, city like this, where everything is so stressful and everyone is a little scared to say what they think and how they feel, particularly when it's going to be recorded and distributed and kept forever. It is very difficult to talk about these things when you're not in the confines of your own place or just in like a small conversation. So I fully respect that no one could come on this show. I'm just sad that I couldn't have myself a little hand recorder and just play those on the show, because that would have been really nice to have shown people a truly all-inclusive vision, and to have people hear the things that I've heard in private conversations. A number of people I've talked to in the old city have such knowledgeable, such interesting, such, this ground level, wise even, knowledge of everything here, and such amazing perspectives that I think would really help everyone. And I don't think I could do their words justice by repeating them. I don't think I could come on here and say, well, this person thinks that, because I would I would stuff it up. I wouldn't probably represent them, but maybe I can write up a little blog post or something when I leave, so that I can just share that with everyone, so that we can, so we get a nicely rounded idea. In talking about leaving, I hear leaving Israel is very difficult at the Tel Aviv airport or whatever. Apparently you get some kind of number or something, and then they question you all the time, which I'm not scared about, because what have I done in Israel? Very little. But still, apparently have to come so many hours early, even Israelis do, and they just get questioned and questioned and questioned. And yeah, I thought getting in was so easy. I was like, whew, one question. Great, these people trust me. This is wicked. I have to leave. And everyone's like, don't be scared. Why would you be scared? And I'm like, people are just scary, and I'm just don't want to miss my flight. Anyway, ramble. I had more questions about food and about the differences between Jerusalem and everywhere else. And how do I answer them? I don't know. What does Jerusalem have that is nowhere else? It has so many things that I've never seen anywhere else, but I couldn't tell you whether they were nowhere else, because I'm only, well versed in the Western world. Yeah, so many things. I mean, I think throughout all of these interviews we've heard so many people talk about things that you wouldn't even consider anywhere else, that I wouldn't think about in another city, let alone a different state. I'm about to have to wrap up. And like I've said, things have changed here in me, and in this city things have changed while I've been here. I came at a very exciting time, I suppose. I thought that this kind of experience would leave me feeling more confident and more knowledgeable, more cool, whatever, all those words. But after living here, I just feel less confident and less knowledgeable. I'm less of an extrovert. I think the knowledge of how much more nuanced life is than I ever thought it was is really changing, and something that I'm going to be mulling over for a long time, and by that I mean months or years, not just hours or days. I'm happy and sad to leave. I'm definitely sad that this is my last show, because forcing people to chat to me was a lot of fun and so entertaining and interesting to me to hear all these perspectives, I suppose. I love stories, so I was happy that someone else was telling them, and it wasn't just me forcing all my friends to listen to my stories, as all of my friends know that's all I do. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to peace out, as they say. It's been great. Thank you for anyone who's still listening. You're amazing, and yeah, I'm grateful. Thank you for everyone who's been on the show. I'll have to actually message that to them, because they're probably not listening to my little solo thing, because it's the last one ever. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah. Thank you. I can't say that enough. Yeah, just think about all the things that people have said. Consider them. My last show, I said a lot of deep things right at the end, so I feel like right now I can just sign off having just talked about myself all show, because I can. Self-indulgent rambles, as I said at the beginning. Yeah, you're stuck with that. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.